To all who come to our happy place, welcome to the No Guilt Disney podcast, where we have no guilt about our love for all things Disney.
We are three Disney fangirls who probably know more about the Disney parks than most grown women should, and we're perfectly okay with that.
Perfectly okay with that, but we don't know enough about the Avengers campus.
We don't.
So we're back to hear more. Hello, everyone. My name is Teresa, and you can find me on Twitter at Gertie the Dino.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jane, and you can find me on Instagram at RealMousewifeWDW.
Hey, y'all, I'm Patty Holiday from NoGuiltDisney.com and No Guilt Travel, which is a travel agency that specializes in Disney and Universal vacations. You can find me on all socials at No Guilt Life. And our fourth is back. Everybody, this is Nicole. Nicole has been telling us about her day one experience at Avengers Campus. Now, by the time this airs, a lot of things may have changed. So I just want to give that disclaimer. We are talking about day one and what she experienced and how it all went down. There's also a whole episode that you can go back and listen to if you missed it that talks about the details of how she got into campus and what she was wearing because she's a cosplayer. So hint, hint, you want to go back and listen to that one and then come back and join us on this one. Nicole, please introduce yourself to those who haven't listened to the first episode so they can learn a little bit about you and why you went to Avengers Campus on the first day.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I am a huge geek and a cosplayer, and you can find me at Good Thoughts Nick at Instagram. And I love the MCU with all my heart and had to be there for opening day. And so I did. I got there at 4:30 in the morning to be there, and I was, and it was worth it.
And it was epic, and it was awesome.
Yes.
When we last left, we had talked a lot about the goings-on of Avengers Campus and how it felt, and even through a little bit of comparisons between Galaxy's Edge and Avengers Campus. Two very different spaces, which is also interesting, like size-wise, as well as what they're doing there, a lot of things. But in this one, I know Teresa in particular probably has a lot of questions about food because she likes the weird stuff. And I know there was a whole discussion about some of the food that was coming out, like at Pim's Test Kitchen and such. So Teresa, ask your questions about food. Let's go ahead and dive in and talk a little bit about that.
Well, so last episode, and I do want to reiterate, if you are planning a trip to Avengers Campus, definitely go listen to the last episode because we do talk a lot about just some of the technical tips to maybe get on web slingers or to do mobile ordering. But now that we kind of discussed the mobile ordering process, I want to hear everything that you actually were able to get, and just what your thoughts, especially, is there anything that you loved? Was there anything that you're like, oh, I hope they take this off the menu so I never have to think about it again? Like where were you able to get food from? And then what were your reactions?
So I actually started the first taste of Marvel, if you will, was at Terran Treats, which is a little brand new cart, Guardians themed, over by the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And they had a churro spiral and a cheesecake orb. The churro is this green pineapple flavored churro, which is absolutely wonderful. I'm not a huge pineapple fan, and I couldn't get it into my system fast enough. And it's very hot. It's fresh.
Is it like
it's a pineapple sugar. So think of a dark green churro spiral covered in sugar that happens to taste like pineapple. And that was everybody I knew who had that really enjoyed that. And then they have a cold, it's a raspberry-filled cheesecake orb, and the orb is kind of this black, it's got some sugar on it. It's chewy and crunchy, and then the filling is this light raspberry purple kind of mousse. And that was fantastic. That's the only things that they sell in terms of food in that little cart. Originally, they were supposed to have several other churros that would be different colors and different flavors. So you didn't know, the color didn't necessarily mean what flavor you would get. So it was kind of this, what could possibly be, pink or red or green or whatever. But they're only selling the green churro and the orb. But they were both very good. Line wasn't terribly long. And yeah, it was definitely, if you want a nice little hit of dessert, they're not very big, but that's kind of perfect. They're good to share if you want just a bite of things. But yeah, that was very tasty.
Well, and plus, if you're in a Disney California theme park, I feel like you have to get a churro.
It's a mandatory.
So
as a Californian, I'm telling you, you must get a churro at some point before leaving Disney property. That's my personal favorite.
We don't
Disney
make
food.
the rules.
Yeah.
So, we don't make the rules. This is just the way it is, people.
What you do.
Get your California churro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably a green one. Why not? But yeah, I hope they actually bring more flavors because these were really good and it was fun. It was just something different and keeping in theme to the universe. There's they've got kind of crates and there's something in a case that I need to kind of go back through my pictures because I'm sure it's an Easter egg of some sort that I just didn't know Guardians well enough to kind of piece it out. But it's just a fun little place. So that was our very first taste of Marvel food, and it was a good experience. I highly recommend it. And then my first mobile order was shawarma. Now, my mom had never had shawarma before, so this was her very first experience, and she's kind of a little picky about foods like that, and she loved it. We both did. For the most part, I've heard people enjoyed this. Some people have said it's dry and boring and stuff. I thought it was the perfect amount of spice, kick. It's chewy. It's the sauce is this yogurt tahini with some vegetables in it, and it's the perfect complement to that shawarma. We ended up splitting that, and it was very filling. We were stuffed by the time we were done. But to me, it lived up to the expectations of, what would the shawarma palace from Battle of New York taste like, and I feel like that was very fitting. So.
I'm just over here writing everything down. I'm like, okay, eat all the things.
Eat all the things. Also, the shawarma cart, I said this earlier in the other one, but the shawarma carts are where you can get the Iron Man zipper gauntlets. So, and you can order those through mobile ordering. So that's kind of something if you want to do one-stop shopping, you can buy some shawarma and a sipper cup to go with it. So that was kind of nice.
Ooh, that's a really
perfect.
good tip. I didn't realize that you could do that in a mobile order. How smart is Disney?
So
I think that would also help with paying attention to inventory as well, right? Mm-hmm. Because you know how many you have, and therefore when they've been purchased, you no longer have any more. So you shouldn't be running out. So that was smart. I didn't realize they did that. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
They did that at Pim's Test Kitchen too. There's in terms of food novelties, there is the Iron Man Sipper Cup. There is the, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but it's Pingo Doce, I think. Pingo Doce. It's the drink from the Incredible Hulk. And they have a giant enlarged can that you can then fill with drinks. They also have the Pim particle capsules in both red and blue. You can choose either red or blue. You must choose a color in order to purchase it. And they also have the Pim particle discs in both red and blue as well. And all of those were available for mobile ordering. I literally said I wanted this red one, that blue one, and picked it up when I got my food, which was fantastic. So keep that in mind too, that you can literally get all your stuff all at once, which was wonderful.
That's good to know because I'm going to want all of it. I'm just going to go through the menu and just check everything off and be like, just bring me the whole menu.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of wanted to do that, but I'm kind of glad we didn't because we had a very small table and there wouldn't have been room for everything. But the glow cubes are really fun. They light up. They're basically glow cubes that you could put in a drink and whatnot. But they're keeping in theme with, obviously the Pim Test Kitchen. And, I'm a geek for all things Marvel, particularly if it's Disney Marvel. So I want all of the things with my grabby hands. So I got everything.
Yeah.
I regret nothing. But the food. So we finally got our Pim's Test Kitchen. The kitchen itself is really cool. You're in kind of this chamber, and they have holographic pictures on the wall that shift depending on your, how you're looking at it. You can watch pretzels get hit with Pim particles, and they either shrink or grow depending on what Pim particle you get. And then they have the main counter where you pick up your food, and then you either go left or right. Both sides are equal in terms of getting. They have drink stations where you would, if you wanted Coke or Sprite or whatever. This was my only issue that I had. I really, really, really wanted to try the Pingo Dose soda, and I almost missed getting it because the drink stations are just like you find at like movie theaters and things, where it's a touch screen, with the little dots, and then you pick what drink you want. So they had Cokes, they had Sprites, they had whatever, and off in the bottom right corner was this little circle that said, try Pingo, Dose ? And to me, it looked like an ad. I didn't realize it was an actual drink option. It is the drink option if you want to drink the brand new soda that they created for the land. And when you click on it, you get a big screen that says, Pingo Dose and all sorts of stuff. And you have two options of both their regular or their sugar-free, which was nice to know. And it's fantastic. It tastes, the general consensus with everybody who had tried it, we all agree it tastes like a vanilla Mountain Dew, which sounds terrible, and it's actually really good. And I would get it again in a heartbeat. It's one of the things that I definitely would want to get every time I went back to Avengers Campus, because it's just that strange taste that feels very in universe, and I can only get it here. So now it's my taste of Avengers Campus, I think.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I wrote that down.
Yeah. There's all sorts of Easter eggs in the where you get your drinks. They have giant soda cans and tubes going into the drink, the machines, and there's a bread tag that's holding all the tubes together, and apparently the bread tags on both the left and the right side they have a month and a date, and it's Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly's birthdays. So that's nice, a little Easter egg on those little bread tags.
Oh, super cute.
Right. And then the giant condiment bottles of ketchup and mustard have a nod to the original attraction was, I think it was Bountiful Vista or something like that. It was originally from California Adventure, the what was there prior to Bugs Land. But they also have a date on the bottles, which is 2001, which was when Avengers Campus opened. So it's like a double nod to DCA and stuff. I mean, not Avengers Campus, when DCA opened. So it was kind of a neat little tiny Easter egg, because they're all upside down. So it's even funnier. But the food.
Oh, super cute.
The food. I got the not so little chicken sandwich. My mom got the Caesar salad with the giant crouton. We got candy bacon. We got the giant candy bar. And then I got the Pingo Dose soda. So the giant chicken sandwich is a little bit of a misnomer. The chicken is actually normal size. The bun is very tiny, which is good, because otherwise you're going to have a whole lot of chicken. I couldn't finish it. The two of us split it, and we still couldn't finish it. But it was really, really good. It's got a good sauce to it, some cabbage. I'm not a big fried chicken fan, and I loved this. It was fantastic. But it's super cute.
Forced perspective
on the chicken, on the bun. Yeah. Somebody else had ordered it, and he was very upset that it wasn't a giant chicken. But I think for a lot of reasons, that's probably a good thing. The Caesar salad was okay. It's basically a giant, stalk of lettuce. If you were to make a salad, you would use the entire thing to make a salad, basically, with some dressing, a giant crouton, little baby croutons. So nice little, big and little things. My mom said it was okay. It wasn't something she'd order again. I mean, it's a salad. It's not terribly exciting. But she definitely, she enjoyed it that day, but not something she would order again. The candy bar. This was probably my favorite thing besides the shawarma and the Pingo Dose, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's a foot long. It is 2 inches high, about 1.5 inches wide, and it is, let's see if I can find I saved the wrapper. It is caramel, nougat, peanuts, brownie, dark chocolate, and peanut butter. And it ticks every box you might have for something if you wanted something sweet. It's savory, it's salty, it's chewy, it's crunchy, it's rich. It's fabulous. So definitely put that on your list. It's very, very shareable.
On the list.
very shareable. I had maybe a couple bites. My mom had a couple bites, and I had Disney tip for anybody. Always bring Ziploc bags with you in your bag, because I put it in a Ziploc bag and took it home with me, and I've been eating it all weekend.
That's what I was about to ask next, because when you mentioned the size of it, I was like, I know there are some places like at Walt Disney World where if you ask for something in like a to-go container, they'll do that for you. But I was wondering about something like a candy bar.
Yeah, I don't know if it would fit easily in a to-go container. I ended up cutting up in 3. I literally had to eat it with a knife and fork. It's that big. It looks ridiculous eating a candy bar like this, but it's hilarious. And what's even funnier is in the seating area where they have for Pym's Test Kitchen, not at the kitchen, but the one by the Hyperion Theater, they have a giant, it's called Choco Smash is the candy bar. They have a giant Choco Smash candy bar, and on the back of the wrapper of the candy bar is actually an Easter egg having to do with a specific Marvel comic book that features Giant Man. So it's a nice little nod. So I was literally eating the candy bar next to a giant candy bar, which was already a giant candy bar. But I can't recommend this thing enough. It's so good.
And I'm realizing now we probably should have done this at the beginning of the episode. Spoiler warnings.
Yes, spoiler warnings. Sorry.
If you I think we'll get to that more when we talk about the attraction. But if you're somebody who likes finding all of the Easter eggs yourself, keep in mind we'll probably be discussing what some of those are.
And there are,
but if you're not, if you like to know what to go in looking for,
if you want to know what to look for,
Nicole actually did a bunch of research while she was there for me, and she gave me some pictures and all of that. We've got a blog post about Easter eggs. So if Easter eggs are your jam and you don't mind knowing in advance, you can check that out. I'll put a link in show notes for you there as well. But yes, very good point. Spoilers, everyone.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, and there are so many Easter eggs in the campus. It was one of those things where I thought, I knew quite a bit about Marvel, but there's so many comic book references, which is really great for people who are, the comic book fans. They can pick these things out, and it's really neat. And for those of us, I was introduced to Marvel in the MCU and have quickly became a massive fan and have been trying to read the comics, as I can. But it's so chock full of Easter eggs, much like Galaxy's Edge, in that this was a love letter to Marvel fans, that they're like, hey, you're going to notice this. We know you're going to notice this, so we're going to make it something, which is really cool.
So that's fun about the Easter eggs and the comic books. I'm not so much a comic book person, but I do love to know where all the little nods are. So I'm excited to see that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't make it into Pym's Tasting Lab, which is where they have the really fun themed alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. I got shut out of the mobile orders, and they didn't do walk-ups. But if you want Easter eggs, I walked through the bar really quickly taking pictures, and they have a giant can that says Silver Age, which is a nice little nod to the Silver Age of Marvel Comics. But the entire can is absolutely filled left and right with Easter eggs. I mean, every little joke, it'd have like a warning, and then that happened to be an Easter egg, and then what kind of ale it was an Easter egg, and it won this prize, which was an Easter egg. I mean, there were so many eggs on the can that you could spend, a few minutes just sitting there Googling everything, going, wait, what does this mean? And I didn't even get pictures of everything because the bar was full of people. But yeah, I heard the drinks are good. I know they sold out of one of them rather quickly that opening day, so hopefully that'll get remedied as well. I know that happened at Galaxy's Edge too. They just, it's popular first day and whatnot, but I heard good things. The little beer, there's a mini beer, 4 beer steins on a giant ruler, and I saw a lot of people carrying those. It was very cute. It's about, I think, a foot long with, like I said, tiny little beer steins on top of it, and that's
that's awesome.
That's the Tasting Lab novelty that you can order there as well. And then I believe most of the drinks that you could get at that Tasting Lab came in these kind of, it says Pym's Lab or something with the logo. they're these plastic beakers that then you can take with you. So that's also a nice little souvenir if you go have a drink there that you get to keep, not just the drink. So that's fun.
Yeah, I saw the Disney Parks blog did a great post about all the drinks that they were going to have there. And it was like, I feel like there's nothing that they show me that I'm like, I don't want that. Like everything, I'm like, I need that. I want that.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to me. I want all of it. I'm trying to really lower my expectations so that I'm pleasantly surprised with anything. But
yeah,
I don't know that that's working so much.
It's always good to
this episode isn't helping.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of keep your expectations low so that you're always surprised. But I didn't have really any expectations. I'm not a huge I love food, but I'm not a huge foodie where it's like, this was dry or whatever. I was very pleased with everything. And I like I said, I didn't have high expectations, but I didn't have terribly low. I expected it to be decent, but I was pleased at how tasty everything really was, because you never know, kind of, particularly I didn't eat till I had shawarma at 1, and we didn't eat Pim's Test Kitchen till 5:15. So, kind of end of the day, is it really that tasty? And everything was really good, and very filling. So I feel like I got my money's worth, and it was definitely something I would go back. Like the shawarma alone, and the silly candy bar, I would go back for in a heartbeat. That's I think what I want for my birthday cake this year. It's like, just get me a candy bar and some pico doce, and we'll call it a day.
I think that sounds like a great birthday.
Yeah.
One of the other things I was curious about, especially since we're talking about Easter eggs and nods to the movies, is, and this won't be a surprise to anybody on the podcast or has heard the podcast, I am obsessed with park background music.
Yes!
So I'm curious, was the background music, was it just scores from the films, or was it something unique to the land? And then I'm also curious if they had, sometimes they'll have, if you stand by certain windows in areas, you can hear people talking about stuff related to it. So I'm just curious, the sounds of Avengers Campus, what did you hear?
Yes, so the sounds of Avengers Campus are really, you walk in and you hear, basically soundtracks from the movies. We clocked Ant-Man. I think my mom came home and watched Thor: The Dark World, and I'm like, wait, we heard that song. So they're definitely pulling soundtracks from the movies, which was really cool. Because we were sitting in that seating area, that Pym seating area for a long time, we kind of heard it cycle. And after a while, you're like, okay, I'm getting to the movie, the Marvel themes and stuff. But no, in some areas, it was a little too loud, was my only complaint. I will listen to Marvel, fill my senses with Marvel, and I'm happy camper. But it got a little loud where you had a hard time hearing people and cast members and things like that. So some of the speakers might want to be turned down just a scotch. But music, that Avengers music, that heroic, fabulous, orchestral sounds are filling the entire area. It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to hear that somewhere. I didn't notice any windows or anything, but again, it was also very busy. And there's not a lot of kind of windows to be heard. But the premise of Web Slingers, in terms of us being on the ride, is it is an open house to showcase this new Web Slinger vehicle, and also Peter Parker has created these spider bots, which are supposed to be these little sidekicks that help, but of course technology goes haywire, they replicate, and they're all over the place, and some of them have escaped Worldwide Engineering Brigade. And so throughout the park you'll find these little spider bots, and Spider-Man has been by and he has secured them to either buildings or pipes or walls, but they're still active. So they're lighting up and they're blinking and they're making little, spider bot noises and stuff. So there's one by the bathroom where, okay, you're kind of hearing music, you're hearing, the soundtrack to, Okoye is singing and chanting and things like that. And then you're hearing this little robotic, chirping going on. So there's all sorts of these little things. In the sanctum, you hear all these chimes, and the orb makes some really interesting sounds. And And yeah, so like that was pretty much the soundtrack of the campus, but it was very noticeable and very pleasing. It was something that we were all just like, I like the music, I like this is making me happy. So definitely, I'm sure there were things that I missed. I mean, I was there, but I obviously missed Iron Man, so I missed other things too. But yeah, there's a lot to just hear.
So one of the things that I had seen, and this kind of segues into the next part, I had seen, because I'm not like Teresa and I like spoilers and I want to see all the things and everything up front. So I'd seen a video that talks about the Web Slingers ride, and it was a ride through. And there was a lack of music on Web Slingers. So let's start with, tell us about Web Slingers. Tell us about your experience on it. But also tell me about music on it. And also, is Tom Holland real? Because let's be honest, that's why I'm going there.
To be honest, I don't actually remember any music. And Tom Holland, unfortunately, is a video. It's very much like Harry Potter, the Harry Potter ride with the screen.
No.
So I will say that's
shocking.
That's a little disappointing. Tom Holland was not present the day that I went. However, interestingly enough, the actress who plays Doreen Green, she is one of the Marvel characters who helped create Web Slingers, helped Web. She was there in our group when we went to go board Web Slingers. We couldn't figure out why this beautiful redhead kept getting her picture taken with. There's a picture of Doreen Green on one of the walls when you're waiting to kind of go into the ride, and a bunch of cast members were taking pictures, and we finally realized, oh, that's the same actress, and she's actually in part of a video that you see in the opening stage show, and she features heavily. She and other Marvel, Harley Keener, Luna Lafayette, I think her name's Anome. But there's about 5 different characters that basically have created these Web Slingers, and you see what they added to create this whole thing that we get to experience. So that was actually really cool. That I think it was her first time writing it as a kind of civilian, as it were, and they actually waited. We waited a really long time to even get into the building. And it turns out that each of the vehicles has a barcode, and the barcode has to do with each of the characters. So we were actually, I think, at Harley's vehicle, and you'll see the barcode on posters lining the walls of the queue and whatnot. And they were waiting for her vehicle, Doreen Green's vehicle, to come around so that she could ride in her own vehicle, which I was like, we can wait for that. That's totally cool.
That's very cute. And for those that don't know, that's Squirrel Girl.
That is Squirrel
Girl, which you might recognize that if you've watched any of those shows or happened upon anyway. That's Squirrel Girl, and she had something to do with Iron Man, right? Like that's the connection and that's why like she would have been featured in this Stark Industries land. Yes.
I think it has to do with, I think it has to do more with all of these characters are very science driven. So all these science loving Marvel characters have come together at Web to, work on their projects and work together and make the world a better place. And so it was really cool in Web Slingers, Web Suppliers, which is the store directly across from Web Slingers. There's all sorts of Easter eggs inside the store, including a jar full of acorns, which is obviously a nice little nod to Squirrel Girl. And there's posters, like if we didn't get a chance to actually, the queue moved relatively quickly outside. And it was nice because they had fans going, they had lots of umbrellas. It was hot that day. But we were never outside in the sun for very long. But they have all these posters up that if you get a chance to kind of, sit and read, you get to see what aspect of the ride each character worked on and what technology they brought to it. So I'm very curious to see in the future if we get to see more of these characters, because that would be really cool to, particularly, with Disney Plus and whatnot, Young Avengers, we can have all sorts of things. So that was neat to see.
So there's and that's a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity. I mean, everyone's always said there's hundreds and hundreds of characters in the Marvel comics. Like, so at some point you could get all kinds of, so this is maybe a nice way to start adding just some information that's there. And then maybe later that turns into something they're going to build on. Maybe it doesn't, we don't know, but I know that, Secret Invasion's coming out, and so possibly Squirrel Girl could have something I don't know. We'll see. But interesting that you saw her. That's fun because, I like to see the celebs myself. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do it for the first time, it was like you're with Squirrel Girl. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Your little claim to fame. You can be like, I rode with Squirrel Girl. And I just want more details about the actual ride.
Yeah, one more thing.
To me, okay, go ahead.
One more thing I will say is if you end up in the backstage queue, which is where we were, you are behind web slingers. And at one point, Spider-Man walked past our queue. So we actually got to see Spidey. He waved at us. He was on his way up into the top floor of the building. But that was a nice little hey, we're waiting in line. This is kind of boring, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, there's Spider-Man. So all sorts of things happen at Avengers Campus. So you never know what you're going to see and who you're going to see. So Web Slingers, the ride is very much like Toy Story Mania in that.
I hate that. Okay.
Okay, but
I'm just saying.
I love it. So.
I'm the person. I get on the ride and I literally don't play. I just sit there because I don't want to work on my attractions. I want to be entertained. Don't make me do the work, which I knew that.
This is not for you.
No, yeah, I know. I'm aware. But I mean, I'm just saying, I'm like, okay, but can I just enjoy it by enjoying the atmosphere and what's happening? Because I do enjoy Toy Story Mania. I just don't bother playing.
But see, I think you actually could. So let me back that thought up. So when you ride, when they load the vehicle, they load both sides of the vehicle, and there's 4 people on one side, 4 people on the other. So presumably you could ride by yourself and just enjoy the show, because it is a bit of a show. Yes, you are shooting at things, but there is a bit of a storyline as to why these things have happened. And there's all sorts of Easter eggs I know that I missed because I was too busy shooting webs at Spider-Bots. So I actually would love to just go. I'll sit with you and we will just watch the show and take pictures and enjoy it, because otherwise, if you don't, you are going to ruin the score of your vehicle because you as you are shooting these webs, these screens pop up in the console in front of all of you, and it shows you not only which spider bots, how many of each colored spider bots you've got, because there's red, blue, green, and gold, and each one has a different point system, so some are worth more than others. It tells you what your score is, what other people's score is, what your vehicle score is, if you're, gold, bronze, silver, etc. And so if you're not playing, you can actually reduce your party score. And that's only a big deal if you care about the leaderboards, which you see when you exit the ride. They have these giant screens above you that tell you what was the best that day, what was the best that month, what was the best overall, the top 10. So kind of like, I think they do that with Buzz Lightyear or something. I don't know about Toy Story Mania. I've only done that a couple times, but they have, so you can see how you did, which is kind of cool. And you're up there, on the boards. They also have screens at web suppliers too. So if you want bragging rights, that's a fun thing to do. There is nothing for you to hold. You are wearing glasses, and you fling your arms like Spider-Man. And as we learned, my mom was trying to aim. I was trying to aim, but also be fast. Bethany, our line buddy, was aiming, but mostly fast. Bethany got the most points. Forget about aiming, flail your arms. You will get the most points. It is an absolutely great upper body workout. My biceps were very sore. You do not have to do the Spider-Man finger gestures to do it either. You can just kind of flail your arms. It tracks that. We did not try it with any of the extra web blaster accoutrement that you can buy that will apparently up your score and change your experience. That would be something fun to try, but I didn't do that on this trip because those are separate purchases. But we had fun. It just went by. It seemed to go by very quickly. The opening stage show, before you even get into a vehicle, Peter's explaining things, and you're in a lab, and there's several desks, and there's so many Easter eggs that your brain will explode. And apparently there's whiteboards with like math equations. Somebody did it, and they said all the math checks out. So they really took their time in putting all these little things together. There's a Pixar Luxo, the lamp is there next to Peter. I had to take pictures because I couldn't find Easter eggs and pay attention to the show. So it's definitely something I would want to experience several times, just because there's so much to see, and it's easily missed because a lot of things happen at once and you just can't clock everything. But we had fun. We really enjoyed it. It is not an experience, I think, like Rise of the Resistance is. I liken that more to like a stage show, and that there's like acts to it, and it's an experience. I don't kind of feel like it's a ride, it's an experience. Whereas this is definitely a fun ride to do. And I definitely, if you're a, you like Easter eggs and a comic book fan, it's definitely worth checking out just for those alone. There's all sorts of things in the queue that I missed too. Stuff that had to do with Howard Stark, because this is an old Stark Industries building. And there was, we saw stuff from SSR and Wakanda and Pym and the Quinjet. And that was just like stuff that I could easily spot. I know there's a lot of stuff that I missed, but it's fun. I really recommend it. If you get a chance to do boarding pass, take it, because it's fun.
I did hear that, in talking about Easter eggs, so I did hear that there is a nod to Heimlich's choo-choo train in the attraction, which makes me very happy.
They always do that, and I think that's so cool that they do that nod. If I didn't see it, or at least not, I didn't spend a lot of time in Bugs Land, so I didn't know enough to go look for that, but I love that they keep that stuff like that.
I also saw, side note, about Heimlich, because I love him, that they moved him to the Pixar campus. Yeah. And somebody had tweeted, and they were like, I don't know if he's turned into a beautiful butterfly. And that just sent me.
As long as he gets all the candy corn he wants. That's what I care about.
As long as he's living his best life, I'm here for Heimlich.
I love that.
So it sounds like it was a really fun experience. I personally am really looking forward to it because I'm highly competitive. I absolutely love Toy Story Mania. We are masters at partnering together to achieve the highest score on Toy Story Mania and opening all the extra scenes. So this has my name written all over it. Like, I immediately was like, guys, this is for us. And one of the girls on the trip was like, I'm not that competitive. I'll be riding by myself. And I was like, you do that. We don't need that kind of negativity. We need to open screens, max out scores, and be the queens of this situation. So it sounds to me like the only thing left is for me to just hold out hope that Tom Holland shows up when I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm looking through my photos right now to see if, because they actually showed us what each of the colors were. And it looks like you've got blue, green, red, a very glowy blue, and possibly a gold. And the gold and the glowy blue, I think, are the main scorers. Then red, then green, and then it's just a blue and red Spider-Bot are the lower ones and the easier ones to get. But so just a little tip on that if you want to really max out your score. But flail like your life depends on it, and that'll rack up your score.
Well, I was like, ladies, we are starting arms toning on Peloton this week because we need a workout before we get on the Spider-Man ride.
It's one of those, it reminds me of like the Disneyland canoes where like if you wanted to go to the park and get a little bit of exercise, that'll do it, So if you felt like, hey, I need to work off that candy bar just a scotch, hit up web slingers, flail, get that arm workout. You're good to go.
Right. It'll make me feel better.
See also why the Disneyland canoes are literally the only ride I have not been on at Disney World, Disneyland or Disney World, either one. I think they're adorable. I love the idea behind it. I ain't doing it. I don't want to work out more than I need to. I mean, I'll run a half marathon at Disneyland, but I'm not going to get in a canoe, right? So we all have our things.
And that's
fair. No, but see, this makes sense to me because any Disney park it's always leg day, and now they found a way to get arm day into a Disney park.
There we go.
It's brilliant. It's a total body workout now.
It's all about balance, Patty.
Sure. All right, and we're just gonna mention, but we're not gonna forget, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is also there.
Yes.
The only reason we're not gonna go into massive details on it is because it's been out for over 2 years now, 3 years now. It's something like that.
Yeah, I actually went to the opening party, and that was May 26, 2017, not 1917, 2017. So it's been open for a few years now, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
The only thing that's changed,
and I think I think because we lost a year.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like how many years has something been open?
Yes.
4, but really only 3.
The only thing that has changed with that is they added what's referred to as Kirby Crackle, and it is this beautiful, multicolored, kind of almost like an oil spill, but brighter and prettier throughout the surrounding the fortress, because the theory is that the fortress has been transported, and when it did, it disrupted space and time and warped the area around it. So that is really cool to see, especially during the day, because it's very bright and just stunning. And there's a ton of little hidden Mickeys to be found. Apparently none of them are intentional, but there is one by the lamppost over by the Guardians, the Collector's Warehouse, which is the store that you also the exit from the ride. There's a little hidden Mickey to be found by a lamppost, so you kind of have to look for it. But if you want a little cute photo, that's a fun one to take there. So
awesome! I can't wait. Guardians is one of my favorites, and so obviously I'm looking forward to that. And then just putting it with everything else, I think, is just gonna really make it extra special.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next Guardians movie will, how that might influence the attraction too. I mean, that's the beauty of Avengers Campus, is that they have these great bones, but it's so fluid that it can be very changeable to accommodate all this new stuff that's coming out. So it's going to be exciting.
Well, that's so true. There's so much.
Nicole, we certainly do appreciate you coming on and sharing all your geeky nerdiness and telling us all the little details. And I mean, I know people like to complain more on social media than they like to praise. But overall, what's your fair assessment of all of this?
I think that it reminds me of Galaxy's Edge, and that there's a lot of really great stuff here. I was happy. I'm living my Marvel fantasy. I get to be surrounded by Marvel characters, eating Marvel food, hearing Marvel sounds, and just enjoying kind of the spontaneity of the land. I think once it finds its feet and the craziness has died down, it's definitely not something you're going to want to spend all day in. But it is definitely an experience if you're a Marvel fan and want to go live your Marvel fantasy. For me, it was worth the wait. It was worth getting up early in the morning. It was worth getting to see it at both in the morning and at night. It's gorgeous at night. There's so many things that you don't notice until they're lit up. I'm just excited. I can't wait to see where it grows from just now, because now it's fun, but you know that there's going to be so much more in store. And they still haven't opened up the there's another e-ticket ride that's going to be coming in the future, where Avengers headquarters is. So we have that to look forward to. So it's one of those, like, go check it out now and enjoy it now, because it's going to be getting bigger and better with every year, I think.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, I'm excited. I know Jane's going to come back with her own details and information as well. So we'll have a second round of updates back then, and definitely we'll be obviously referencing all this. And if you guys are looking for more in detailed trip report, Nicole was awesome and wrote this whole thing up, and she wrote it up as like a mission report. Really cute. So we said she was geeky, right? Right. She's geeky. But she's going to allow me to throw it up on the blog. So noguiltdisney.com. I'll put the link in show notes here for you guys if you want to go and read that as well, just to get a little bit more details. So we'll have that for you also. And again, thanks a lot, Nicole. We appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you have you, the listener, have any questions for Nicole or any of us, or any things that, if you know anything and went to Avengers and you want to help me out when I go next month, please come join us in our Facebook group. It's No Guilt Disney on Facebook, or you can email us at noguiltdisneypod@gmail.com.
And join us each week on the No Guilt Disney podcast, because as Patty likes to say,
it's no fun to fangirl Avengers Campus alone. Bye, y'all.